DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here. We're going to have a fun show. We're going to talk about cow dog wellness. Got Dr. Susan Nelson here, who's a clinical professor from the Pet Health Center at Kansas State University. We're going to talk about things such as vaccination, parasite control, poison prevention, lots of good things about maintaining the health of your cow dog.
As dependable as the sunrise, in dairy parlors, open pastures, on ranches and feed yards across America. A place where reputation is more than a name, where the science of healthier animals is a way of life. It's the responsibility that drives who we are and what we do. Every decision, every day. It's your livelihood and our responsibility.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
By the new hired hand portable cow sprayer. For more information, visit cowsprayer.com.
Hey folks, welcome to the show. Dr. Nelson, thanks for being here. Folks, this is Dr. Susan Nelson. She is a clinical professor here at the Pet Health Center at the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University. And we always like having you on the show. It's great information. And today we're going to talk about taking care of the cow dog and cow dog wellness.
Very important. Okay, so to start off with, one thing we need to think about is vaccines for our dogs. So we have what we call core and non-core. Core is what everybody needs to have. That's going to include your distemper parvo combination vaccine. Those are diseases that even the local coyotes, fox can bring into your pets too. And oftentimes fatal if your dog gets those. And then the big one's going to be rabies. We have rabies all around the United States. Doesn't matter where you live, different forms of it. And so we want to make sure that they're kept up to date on the rabies vaccines.
So in those, obviously the rabies vaccines, you need to get your dog into the veterinarian because those are...
The rabies vaccine needs to be given by a veterinarian. But and ideally, having your dog in at least once a year to have it checked out by your veterinarian to make sure there's no illnesses or anything happening with it.
You bet.
And then we have a couple other what are called non-core vaccines. Probably one of the bigger ones for your ranch dogs can be leptospirosis. That's a bacteria that can be shed through the urine. Raccoons, mice, rodents, cattle, pigs, something your dog can pick up can potentially be fatal. They can also pass it to you. This is what we call a zoonotic disease. So every farm dog's going to be at risk for this one. Even the little house dogs who live out on the farm, they're going outside too. So we need to get
some bad habits of getting
doing
their nose
things.
and eating things they shouldn't.
Yep. And then some of these ranch dogs, even though they're on the ranch, working on the ranch, may also be participating in agility, field trial, things like that. And so you might want to think about vaccinating for some of your upper respiratory diseases such as Bordetella, kennel cough, canine influenza, depending on where you live and where you're traveling to.
So most of the time, if you're looking at core vaccines or non-core vaccines, if you talk with your local veterinarian, they're going to have a pretty good idea of what's endemic.
Exactly. They know what's in your area, can give you the best advice for your dog.
Lyme's disease?
That's going to be a problem more in the little east and then north of here too. There again, talk with your veterinarian and see what they recommend about vaccinating your dog for that.
Okay, and so when we talk about the vaccinations, actually the distemper and rabies, they're every year? Or can be every 3 years?
Depending where you live. Distemper parvo combination, we do a series, and then once they have that first year booster, we go every 3 years with that. Rabies, we can go every 3 years, but it's dictated by your local and or state ordinances. Okay. So you have to go by the law for that one.
And if you have a dog, I think that some people especially when we get out into rural communities, is there any liability of me not getting my dog rabies vaccinated? Or
Yeah, that's a good question, because if your dog bites someone who's coming to visit you and is not current on their rabies vaccine, the quarantine period and the expense that goes in with that is all on you.
Okay, well, folks, make sure you get your dog in annual evaluation, annual checkup, and shots as needed. Make sure you work with your local veterinarian. When we come back with Dr. Nelson, we're going to continue on this talk, and we're going to talk about parasite control in the cow dog.
Some call it a come from behind victory, an unlikely win, a reversal of fortune, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. This is our moment, our victory dance, because we choose confidence. We choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Ask your veterinarian to prescribe Zuprevo. Zuprevo is a fast-acting, long-lasting BRD treatment that you can count on to get the job done. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo from Merck Animal Health.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Do your cattle struggle with pink eye, BRD, or another disease? Contact Newport Laboratories for a customized solution. Our custom-made vaccines are produced using the specific diseases found in your area. These USDA licensed vaccines offer potential cost savings on vaccine and labor. Contact your veterinarian or Newport Laboratories the next time your cattle are in need of a custom solution. Newport Laboratories custom-made vaccine, because every situation is different.
This segment brought to you by the new Hired Hand Portable Cow Sprayer. For more information, visit cowsprayer.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Susan Nelson. She is the clinical professor and works here as a veterinarian in our Pet Health Center, which is located in the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine, and talking about taking care of those cow dogs. And,
Yes, we are.
And parasites, different types of parasites, right?
So we break down parasites in the internal or external parasites. So we'll start with the internal parasites, or the worms, as people. So our farm dogs they're privy to catching a lot of these worms. Tapeworms are common, usually not life-threatening or cause severe disease, but they can get those for either eating a flea or eating dead rodents, mice, things like that, rabbits. So all those carry what we call an intermediate host, so they're commonly infected with that. Roundworms, hookworms, whipworms are also very common for our farm dogs. The local wildlife, there again, the coyotes, the foxes can all keep that reservoir going also. Balis ascaris is a type of roundworm carried by a raccoon that can also be fatal for people. And so we want to make sure we keep our dogs dewormed for those. Although it doesn't cause much disease in the dogs, they can still pass out those eggs into their feces, and then they can be contagious to their owners.
And if you have them around show hogs or anything like that, it can have dramatic effects, a Bailey ascaris can, on hogs.
Oh yeah,
and
so
central nervous disorders and have them go down.
And they will go and eat those things that hogs like to eat. So yes, including the dog's feces.
That's right.
Giardia, which they can get through contaminated water, is also going to be very common. And so that's another disease that if they're having chronic diarrhea, you would want to have your veterinarian test them for. The good news is, for a lot of these intestinal parasites, our heartworm preventive also covers those, which is another parasite we need to talk about. So heartworms are a mosquito-transmitted disease that dogs can get. Pretty much been documented in all the states in the United States, except Alaska. If they have it there, they came to it from some other place with it. But anyway, we want to protect our dogs. It's expensive to treat them. It's a lot easier to prevent it. And there again, it covers several of these medications will deworm for several intestinal parasites.
So if I'm covering them for heartworm, a lot of the products I'm using for heartworm are going to cover for all the rest of these.
A lot of them. We have some that will do roundworms, hookworms, whipworms, and tapeworms along with their heartworms.
Wow.
So it gets a lot of bang for your buck. And then the other thing we need to look at is external parasites like fleas and ticks. Where I already talked about, fleas can transmit tapeworms to your dog. However, flea allergic dermatitis, so very itchy skin, breaking out in infection is very common too. If they have enough fleas, flea bite anemia is a problem. And then we come to ticks, our favorite.
I know.
So, all right,
Dang
so
ticks.
Ticks transmit a lot of bad diseases, not only to our dogs, but they can also transmit those diseases to us. So your dogs can bring in some of these ticks into the house if they come in and out of the house, and then they can come onto you and transmit diseases. But things like ehrlichiosis, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Lyme disease, depending on the area of the country you're at, are just to name a few.
Yeah, and so to control fleas and ticks, there are many different products, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of topicals. There's some great new oral medications. So if your dogs are in the ponds a lot, keeps it from washing off. And so there's a lot of things. So the best advice is talk to your veterinarian, see what the problem is locally in your area and what products seem to work best.
Great information. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about how to maybe keep your dog out of a few things that might keep them from getting sick, and something they might eat to keep them active and getting after the cattle. Thanks for watching Doc Talk. More after these messages.
The BQA Tip of the Day, sponsored by Beringer Engelheim Vetmedica Inc.
I'm Dr. Kip Lukasevich with Production Animal Consultation. Today's BQA Tip of the Day is bud box facilities. We're at a feed yard today that has a bud box. It's becoming more and more popular. The advantage of the bud box is that it's a facility that has open sides. Has one solid side, which is the gate, which they come in through. But it takes advantage of cattle's natural behavior in that cattle like to see what's pressuring them, and they like to return where they came from. And so the way our alley is set up is so that the cattle come into the box first, and they make a turn, and they come back around, and then they go right down into the double feed alley, and they go straight, which cattle prefer. The advantage of the bud box is that if we have one that is giving us problems going into the alley, and sometimes that happens, we have a gate here that we can swing and bring around to narrow that up and have him go in. And if we have one that is kind of ornery and doesn't want to cooperate with us that way, we can easily come through here and come through the gate and work from the outside. And if we need to, we can have a flag or something that we can utilize to work from the outside and have the cattle come in as well. Both ways work really well, and that's how you stay safe working in a bud box.
Say this is a calf that's been run through the chute a few too many times. Going through the chute stresses cattle, causing them not to eat like they should. Luckily, Pyramid 5 plus Presponse SQ provides proven protection against key respiratory diseases in a single shot, with just one trip through the chute. Talk to your veterinarian about Pyramid 5 plus Presponse SQ, and soon your calves will relax and eat like a whole different animal.
It takes vision, dedication, hard work. It takes knowing who you can trust. At Zinpro Corporation, we have more industry-endorsed research behind our trace minerals than any other company. Proof that our patented performance minerals help improve overall animal health and performance. Lots of companies make claims. At Zinpro, we generate results.
If my calves start healthy and stay healthy, I've got a good shot at making money. That is why I trust Clostrix. It gives my calves the protection they need until their own immune systems kick in.
Calf raisers trust Colostrix colostrum supplements. Colostrix is USDA licensed and proven effective. When your money is on the line, trust Colostrix.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Susan Nelson. We work at Kansas State University, where Dr. Nelson is the clinical professor here at the Pet Health Center and the Veterinary Health Center at the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University. And Dr. Nelson, we're talking about wellness in the cow dog, and let's go into some of your feeding and food type recommendations.
Okay, so obviously our dogs need to be fed and have some water. That's, if you want to keep them around, you need to grow them up right. So always have fresh water available. We don't want them accidentally having to crawl into a stock tank and falling in and drowning. So we need to make sure there's water access for them, fresh water. And then feeding, you need to find a food that fits well with your dog's lifestyle. So if they're high energy, they may need a higher caloric food. If they're just now starting to lay around the porch more because they're getting older, you might need to cut back those calories, find a lower calorie food. But basically you want a food that has a good brand name, and then their performance, they perform well on it. So they can do the job that they're supposed to be doing.
Right, and again, when we look at moving those dogs, larger frame dogs versus smaller frame dogs.
It's very important, especially since a lot of these farm dogs are going to be, some of them are going to be larger breed dogs, that we have a food that's appropriate for that growth stage and for that breed. And so puppies of large breeds that are growing very quickly really need to be on a food that's for those types of puppies. We call it large breed puppy foods. And to make sure we're trying to do what we can to avoid some of the musculoskeletal issues that can develop along the way.
And then there are some things we don't want them to eat, right? That might be around the farm, maybe some poisons or some things that we need to watch out for.
Yeah, probably the two most common poisonings we're going to run into is antifreeze, especially when there's leaks from the tractors or the vehicles. And it just takes a teaspoon to a tablespoon or so to kill your dog. And so you want to clean up these spills immediately and not have access to that if possible. The other is going to be rat poison. Now, a lot of the rat baits are now in pet-proof containers. I haven't tested that, so I don't know how pet-proof they are. But so let's say they can't get into the container. The problem is, especially your terrier breeds and stuff that really like to hunt the mice and rats, they're going to go after even the poisoned ones. And they can get poisoned what we call secondarily by consuming enough of these mice or rats who have eaten the poison. Then they get poisoned by having enough accumulate into them from eating those, because that's a big concern.
I hadn't even thought about secondary poisoning, especially with the rat or the pet-proof containers. What are some of the clinical signs, or what are some things that a person should do if you think that your dog has gotten into like a rat poison or something?
Yeah, so either rat poison or antifreeze, those two, if you can, because it may be a while before you can get them into a veterinarian, depending on how far out you live. You'll want to induce vomiting, and I'd recommend you talk to your veterinarian about the best way to do that at home, to try to get that out of their system. There are some things we don't want to induce vomiting, so you might want to take a look at what you have around your property and look at the containers, because if it says on the container, don't induce vomiting, don't induce it. Yeah, but definitely rat poison, the ones that make them bleed out. There's another type of rat poison when we make them vomit. The fumes from that can also be toxic to us. And so you need to make sure you're doing that out in a well-ventilated area.
Gotcha. Well, great information. Make sure you have work on the proper nutrition for your dog. Make sure puppy versus working dog versus geriatric. And then make sure you clean up the antifreeze in the shop and things to that nature. Just things we don't think about on a routine basis that we need to be reminded of, especially this time of year. When we come back, we're going to wrap up with Dr. Nelson. We're going to talk about some things about training, maybe some phobias, different things that your dog could use, or maybe something that your dog's going through. More after these messages.
Did you know long-range planning through the checkoff can help keep your business profitable? To successfully pass on cattle operations from one generation to the next, it's important to promote beef and keep farms and ranches profitable. Your beef checkoff helps do that.
I'm Will Thomson. I'm part of Townsend Ranch. It's a ranch my grandparents started. They actually raised their family and started growing their cow herd right here. I would be the third generation on the ranch, and daughter and expecting a son would be the fourth generation on the ranch. The beef checkoff has done a lot of things for the beef industry. The biggest thing, when you look at it from a 30,000 foot view, is that it's brought a lot of different segments together to promote beef. And I don't think that is done easily. I think that's a very big feat.
And when the checkoff dollar is collected, the money is spent for educational purposes. A lot of them are national programs, and the state takes the national programs and runs with them. So not only do our own local producers benefit from that, but nationally.
Yes, I really like the research and development aspect of the beef checkoff. Adding value and development of new products, new beef cuts, things like the flat iron steak. That's a huge deal, again, that with a segmented industry probably wouldn't have been done without the beef checkoff. And then both domestic and foreign marketing is something that really probably wouldn't be done by different segments of the industry without them all coming together. Again, that probably wouldn't have been done without the beef checkoff.
And I don't know who would promote our product if we who are raising it don't promote it ourselves.
Broadband has become as important to us as highways. That is why DocTalk is teaming up with NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, and rural broadband companies like Blue Valley Telecommunications in fighting for quality broadband access through the program Smart Rural Communities.
I don't think we have any idea what's coming in the future. I couldn't have imagined 5 years ago what we're doing today. So in 2 years, I would guess there's things we can't imagine that we're going to be doing.
To learn more, visit ntca.org/smart or bluevalley.net.
Still using ineffective fly tags on your cattle? It's time to eliminate fleas, ticks, flies, lice, and parasites, and at the same time, give them a shiny coat, making them more valuable. One fly tag can cost $2.50, but you can do this all for about a nickel a head. Introducing the Cow Sprayer, designed and built in the U.S. The Cow Sprayer is portable, solar-powered, and comes with a 25 or 40-gallon tank. Eliminate parasites for about 5 cents a head with the Cow Sprayer. Cowsprayer.com.
It's easy to spot the man who uses Synanthic. With lower volume and less waste, Synanthic steps up your deworming routine. Get more deworming with less dewormer at Synanthic.com.
Beringer Ingelheim Vetmedica Inc. knows the importance of beef quality assurance and asks you to step up and get certified. Go to bqa.org for details.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Susan Nelson, who is a clinical professor here at Kansas State University in the College of Veterinary Medicine. And as we were talking during break, one of the things when we kind of triggered our mind on poison and parasite control is that off-label ivermectin.
Yeah, ivermectin, using cattle ivermectin or equine ivermectin in your dogs is very tempting to save some money, but it does come with some risk. A lot of our farm dogs are herding breeds, and a lot of these herding breeds are more sensitive to overdosages of ivermectin. You have to be extremely careful. These are very concentrated products, and it's really hard to get it to a small enough dose to be safe for these dogs. I'll throw in for the farm cats too, because we do see a lot of ivermectin toxicities. So even though it's tempting to use it, talk to your veterinarian at least about the proper dose or using something that's actually labeled for dogs that's based on ivermectin.
Good, great information. And then, you know, one of the things we don't think about, we think about training our dogs for their job, but there might be some other training that is necessary.
Yeah. One thing you want to think about is trying to train them to not chase the vehicles, because you may have a very good herding dog that you don't want to lose to being hit by a car, whether it be the mailman or your own truck. So deterring them and learning training methods to keep them from chasing the vehicles would be very important. Teaching them not to chase the neighbor's cows or the chickens, or you may not have a dog coming back home one night, unfortunately. So, and if you can't get them trained, you may have to keep them confined when you are not at home so you can be watching them.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing is keeping them confined, keeping them from, training them. There's a lot of different tools out there to help train dogs to stay close to the house or within a radius, because there's nothing more frustrating, even as a neighbor. I know my dogs get out on y'all's places, sorry neighbors, okay, but having, when another dog shows up to your place and it disrupts your dog's behavior, many different issues.
Yeah, and so that would go along with socializing your dog too, and just when the other dogs show up, to try to avoid some fights.
What about some of these phobias that dogs can go through? I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah, so we think about this more because we see it more with our city dogs, but farm dogs get thunderstorm phobias too. You may be able to shoot a gun all day around them, but boy, the storms roll in, they may develop into a little withering, dribbling piece of...
Yeah. So what are some of the things, when we talk about phobias, what are some of the things that, can we do something about it, or do we just need to be aware that?
Right. Well, I think being aware is the key part first, to know if there is a problem. And then if it's mild, there can be some training tips and some non-prescription medications that can be used during those times. If they're very severe, talk to your veterinarian. They very well may need prescription medication to aid them. And a lot of these medications will not interfere with their functioning to work.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Susan, for being here on the show. Folks, Dr. Nelson, wealth of information, someone I love having on the show. Thank you for watching Doc Talk today. Remember, always work with your local veterinarian, and if you want to know more about what we do here at Doc Talk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson, here with Dr. Susan Nelson. You've been watching Doc Talk today, and I'll see you down the road. Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com. Doc Talk was brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.